Hello, welcome to Next Level Thursday. So, I had originally planned to do this training at the end of our incredible Saturday Summit this past Saturday in Norwalk, Connecticut. But we got so into everything else that we were talking about, we just ran out of time. So, I'm actually really glad to be doing that tonight instead, because what we're going to be talking about is pushing past negative feedback. And there was absolutely nothing negative going on at our Saturday Summit because it's such a great vibe when you're in the room with people who have the same mission as you, who want the same things as you, who are on the same path as you. But then we head out into the rest of the world, and not everybody has the same vision or has the same goals or has the same experience you do. And sometimes that results in negativity. So I wanted to talk about that with you because as you are beginning your career with Vive, or even if you've been in with Vive for a very long time, that you are probably sometimes going to run into people whose feedback to you is not positive. So let's talk about that. So let's actually talk about what that really is. A lot of times when you get feedback that you think is negative, it's really just somebody processing out loud their expectations versus reality. Humans do this crazy thing where when we expect one thing, but then reality is different, it takes us a moment to catch up. And sometimes when we're catching up, thoughts come out of our faces and our fingers and our thumbs, and we make comments about it. So sometimes those comments aren't necessarily what we want to hear. So for instance, maybe you're sharing something about a Vive offer or product or opportunity online, and somebody responds back with something negative like, oh, don't you already have a job, or something like that. And it wasn't really meant to be negative, but it was just their expectation and then reality coming together and it not being the same, and then them processing that out loud. So I want to just encourage you that when you are running into feedback from people, just pause for a moment and ask yourself, like, is this genuinely valuable feedback for me? Or is this just somebody who is processing their expectations versus reality out loud, and it doesn't really have anything to do with me at all? A lot of times, it has nothing to do with you at all. Now, let's talk about no. So I fully believe that for you to find the right people to offer solutions to, you are probably going to have to offer it to a lot of people. And then some people are going to decline, and then some people are going to say yes. Now, when you hear no, I want you to hear not yet, because there is absolutely not a single person on this world who is an adult who has bills who would not benefit from our services. Like, you know that, I know that. But honestly, timing is everything. So when you hear no from somebody, I want you to just think, okay, not yet. The timing isn't right. Maybe that person doesn't feel like they have time to upload their bills. Maybe they don't really believe that they can save money. Maybe they're just so busy right now that the thought of like stopping what they're doing to, take steps on this is just too overwhelming, or they don't yet believe that they can really save money. Maybe they don't believe that they can be a successful business owner while helping see people save. So when you hear no from somebody, don't just write them off and put them in a no bucket. Put them in the not yet bucket. I will tell you that throughout my experience in this profession, that I have been told no many, many times that turned out to be not yet. As a matter of fact, I had initially, when I started my business, reached out to somebody, invited them to participate. She was very adamant about saying no to me. It was honestly pretty rude about it. A friend of mine, who's still a friend of mine, I just, backed away. I was like, all right, cool. I don't know what happened with you today, but all right. 2 years later, she decides she wants to try the product that I was offering. 2 years, guys. And then after she tried that product, she decided to become a consultant and signed up friends and family members to share as well. So it was kind of one of those things where I certainly hope it doesn't take you 2 years to get from no to yes. But what I want you to take away from that is that no, even sometimes a very rude and abrupt no, is still just a not yet. They weren't ready. The timing wasn't right. There was something going on in their head, like whatever that looks like. Now, this is a very important question. When you get negative feedback from somebody, ask yourself, is it really about you? This person that I used as an example, she was pretty ugly to me, and all I was doing was inviting her to try a product that I liked that she ultimately ended up liking. Do you think that her being ugly to me was really about me or what I was offering? Or do you think it was about her? I'm guessing it was about her. You really never know when you reach out to somebody and they provide you this feedback, even if they're just, scrolling through their feed and they, make a comment, or you're having an in-person conversation and they make a comment. The first thing you need to ask yourself is this even really about me? Because a lot of times when we get negative feedback, it's really about them. It's about their experience. It's about their own limiting beliefs. It's about their own stuff. It's not really even about you. So always pause when you get that negative feedback and just ask yourself, is this really even about me, or is this about you? And I think when you will actually look at it that way, that you'll find that most of the time it has nothing to do with you, and it is definitely to do with them. Now, the next question, if you ask yourself, okay, so is this really about me? And you determine, yeah, you know what? I think it is really about me. I don't think it's about them. I think that they have genuine feedback for me. The next question I want you to ask yourself is, hey, does this person have my best interest at heart? So I'll give you an example of this. When I started my network marketing profession, I was working full time as a vice president at Bank of America. And I had really started it as kind of a side business for the fun. It was more of like a hobby level type thing. And as my business got bigger, I decided that I needed to pick one or the other, because I couldn't be working 2 full-time jobs and be a single mother. Like, that just wasn't reasonable. So I had to pick a pony and ride it. And when I was going through my process of making that decision, I talked to several people about it and was discouraged from choosing network marketing as a profession, and was encouraged to stay with my job at the bank and, have my, set salary and my job stability and things like that, which people don't really take into account, reductions in forces and layoffs and things like that happen all the time in that type of environment. So I got, negative feedback, and people were encouraging me not to give up my stable job. And I had to look at that in each of those individuals and say, do they really have my best interest at heart? Now, the answer could be yes, or it could be no. Now, if you are looking at somebody's feedback towards you and it's negative, and you determine that they really don't have your best interest at heart and that they are projecting something about themselves onto you, that's really important. Then you know how to move forward, right? Is you got to ask yourself, do they really have your best interest at heart? Now, here's the next part. What if they do have your best interest at heart? Then you've got to ask yourself, do they really know you better than you know yourself? If you're thinking, I want to go all in, I want to make this a career for myself, I want to offer this opportunity to other people, and they're telling you, no, don't do that, that's not sustainable, that's not this, that's not that. Do they really know you better than you know yourself? If you have determined inside of yourself that you have what it takes, that this is a goal that you want to pursue, are you sure that this person knows you better than yourself? What makes them the expert on you? What makes them the expert on your goals? What makes them the expert on what you're capable of? So, one of the people who told me not to leave my job was my dad. It honestly really hurt my feelings. I thought that he didn't think I could do it, that I couldn't hack it. And I really took his like pushing me not to leave my job at the bank as a sign that he didn't believe in me. What I came to find out later through conversations, a couple years after I made this decision and it was going very well and have, done network marketing as a profession ever since. We were sitting on the back porch one night and I kind of brought it up and I said, I was really hurt that you told me I shouldn't leave my job at the bank because, I just felt like you didn't think I could hack it, but I'm doing really well, because he was asking me how my business was going. And he stopped and sat back and he was like, Kristen, I never didn't think you could do it. I knew you could do it. You are highly driven. You are so ambitious and so smart. I knew you could do it. But I've been an independent business owner my entire career, and it is so stressful. I always, my dad has been a small business owner his, most of his life, and the ups and downs that come with being a small business owner and having a family and providing for them completely is really stressful. And there were times that, things changed or, a commission didn't come through or whatever happened, that he felt like I probably should have just gone to work for somebody else and then I would know what my paycheck was every single month. His feedback for me wasn't that he didn't believe in me. It was that he didn't want that stress for me. But because he didn't express that at the time, I had taken it really to heart. It had really hurt my feelings. And so I want to challenge you, when people are sharing that feedback with you, asking yourself, is this really about me? What is this really about? Do they know me better than I know myself? And what are really the motivations behind what their feedback is, what they're telling me that I should or shouldn't be doing? So just get there deep. And when somebody gives you feedback that's not in alignment with what you know your goals to be and what you know that your, skills are, that you could just say, hey, do they know me better than I know myself? Do they live inside of me? Do they understand all of my thoughts? Do they understand all of my goals? Do they understand how motivated I am? How could they possibly? You are the expert on yourself. They are not the expert on you. So I want you to just take that into your heart as you are moving forward, because when sometimes you get negative feedback, you're going to want to really evaluate it instead of hiding under a rock. I know it's so tempting to just just take negative feedback and run from it and hide or justify or, do any of those things. But I want you to take a moment and make our next point here, which is reflect versus respond. So when I got that feedback from my dad that he did not want me to leave my job at the bank to start a career in network marketing, or to really at that point to pursue it completely full time, I didn't have a fight. I didn't get upset. I just said, hey, you know what? Thank you so much for giving me advice, Dad. I didn't take it clearly, but I just reflected on what he was saying and why I thought he was saying it. And I was like, you know what? I love my dad, but he doesn't live inside of my life. I know I can do this. I want to do this. I'm going to do this. And instead of responding or getting angry or being super hurt or letting it derail me, I can't even imagine my life right now had I let it derail me into staying at the bank full time. I just responded. I just reflected to it and was like, hey, you know what? Thank you so much for giving me your advice. And then I just did what I wanted to anyways. It's kind of how I live my life. I'm like, thank you so much for your advice. And that is actually going to bring me right here to thank you for your feedback. I use that very genuinely, and I also use it not very genuinely. When people provide me with feedback that I don't think serves me, that isn't moving me forward, that isn't helping me, that isn't helping the people around me, I simply reflect and I'm like, hey, thank you for your feedback. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for sharing that with me. And then I just move on. I don't argue. I don't, worry about it. I don't need to justify myself. You don't have to rationalize anything that you do for other people. You have permission to listen to people's other point of view and then just say, hey, thank you so much for your feedback. People are going to give you a lot of advice. It's going to come at you from all directions, both within your family, within your community, within, even other consultants, within all of these things. So my advice to you is to reflect on it and just say, hey, when it doesn't align, thank you for your feedback. And my final parting tip for you, we're going to keep this nice and short today, is that you should never take advice from people you wouldn't trade places with. So there are so many great people out there in the world who really want to share advice, share wisdom, share techniques, share things with you. But I want you to run it through the filter, right? Because not all advice is good advice. So one of those filters for me is, would I trade places with that person? And if the answer is no, take their advice accordingly. Take me, for example. If you wouldn't trade places with me, if you don't like the lifestyle that I live, if you don't want to, have a, active network marketing career, don't take my advice, right? So when you're looking at things like taking advice from people, I really want you to reflect on, would I trade places with this person? Is this working? And if you wouldn't trade places with that person, then just consider their advice independently of that. Like, okay, does this seem like good advice all by itself? Do I think this makes sense to me? Should I do what they're telling me to do or not do what they're telling me not to do? All right. So I just wanted to give you some tools as we're, going out into the world. We're sharing our offers with people. We're sharing our opportunities with people. And frankly, a lot of people are going to think that this is just too good to be true. The fact that you can save money and earn money at the same time is honestly just wild. It's what got me so excited about this. But because it's so wild, because it's so innovative, because it feels too good to be true, and everybody's been told, if it feels too good to be true, it is, which isn't true. We're just going to run into that in this space. So I hope that some of the just tools that I gave you will resonate with you, will cause you to feel better when sometimes you run into that negative feedback, will help you to just keep things moving forward, will help you to maintain relationships and have healthy, good relationships, even after somebody has provided negative feedback to you. It's okay. It's okay. You just get to say at the end of the day, I know myself. I know my goals. I know what I'm doing here. I'm going to pursue this. Thank you for your feedback. All right. Thank you for joining me for Next Level Thursday, and we will see you again on our next routine. Bye, guys.